Welcome to Frostbyte FAQ Fridays. Kind of. What happened to last week's FAQ? Or the FAQ before that, for that matter? First of all, I'm very, very sorry for not coming out with these every single week like I said I would originally. The long and short of it is that I'm swamped. Now, I thought that I could pump out one of these every single week, but I underestimated the fact that I am by myself. I do this channel completely alone. I get a little help from my girlfriend. She holds the script for me, so say hi to everyone, Rachel. She says hi. And then other than that, I have to edit this, I have to cut it up, I have to script it, I have to make all the content. Every single thing that I do, I have to do by myself. So that kind of adds up. It's a huge project. It ends up being almost as big of a project as an actual video on my channel. So I kind of have to spread these out a little bit. I hope you guys forgive me, but I still want to keep them up. I still want to do it, and I still want to call it Frostbyte FAQ Friday because it's really catchy. So if you guys don't tell anyone, I won't. These videos aren't always going to be on Friday, but I'm going to try my damn hardest to get these videos out to you and answer as many questions as I can. Not to make a bunch of silly excuses, but a few things that I'm kind of swamped with along with this channel is school. I am an engineering student. I'm on my last semester for my current degree, so that tells you how much education is involved with this. So I'm really busy getting that done because I want to do as best as I can for the last semester. Also, I have a day job. I don't just do this. I work at a hardware store, so I end up having to work more hours than I want to at that place. Even though I love that place, I love working where I do. Those two really push my channel as far as it can to the side, so when I ever get any free time, instead of playing video games like I love to do, I come and do a lot of stuff for my channel. Also, I have a lot of videos that I want to do that are major videos for this channel, main videos. For example, I am currently making a video about my SansAmp model RPM that I have on top of my amp right here. It's another SansAmp unit that I bought. Well, actually, I didn't buy it. My girlfriend gave it to me for Christmas a couple years ago, and I absolutely love it, but I still haven't gotten around to make a video of it. I also want to make a gear tour of all the stuff that I use, my pedal board, my amps, and everything, so I want to do that, a dedicated video for that. And then I want to do a dedicated video for my compressor, and I just got Microtubes B3K from Dark Glass, so I want to do a video for that. So there's a lot of things that I'm simultaneously making content for along with these FAQ videos. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming on this channel that I'm trying to do by myself. So bear with me. I promise you guys will not regret it. Question 1. I was looking for a USB audio interface that also has MIDI. This is actually a really good question because one of the major features for an audio interface is MIDI control. You might not be an instrumentalist, meaning you might not play guitar or sing in a microphone or anything like that. You might be playing MIDI keyboards or synth lines. And with that, you will need a way to get into a computer so you can use all the software. My old interface, my Line 6 UX2, that actually did have MIDI inputs in the back, and I had SPDIF. It had a lot of inputs, had a lot of features, but one thing that I couldn't do with that interface was plug in two instruments at the same time. So it wasn't for me. And also, it had some problems with El Capitan OS X a little while ago, so I was a little more weary recommending that interface. But what I do recommend is the Scarlett 2i4. I use the 2i2. It's got what I need. The 2i4 is essentially the same thing that I have, but it has the MIDI inputs and outputs that you're looking for. So I recommend the Scarlett 2i4. FANNED FRETS. So FANNED FRETS is something that has been popping up recently, but has been around for thousands of years. FANNED FRETS is not really a new technology, but it is gaining a lot of popularity nowadays because of the use of FANNED FRETS. The idea comes from a few things. One of the more obvious things is that when you hold your fingers out, they naturally fan out, meaning when you're playing, it's more natural for your fingers to be a little bit farther apart than when the frets are completely parallel. Now, of course, you're just supposed to learn the technique of keeping your fingers parallel to the frets and then getting a really clean tone, but it helps a little bit if they're angled slightly. The more major reason for this is the fact that when you have fanned frets, the string on the bottom, meaning the lowest string that you have, is going to technically have a longer scale than the strings up high. Now, a result of this biggest difference in scale length is intonation. You get a lot better of an intonation on your higher notes as well as your lower notes, meaning it would be as if though your instrument is set up specifically for the higher notes and set up specifically for the lower notes without having a lot of tension issues for tuning to these really, really low things like F sharp. And also when you're doing a lot of dynamic things, if you're playing really, really low notes and you are going to stay in first position for a lot of songs and then you end up having to do bass solos or you're going to be playing by yourself, fan frets help because the intonation is almost spot on when it comes to the setup of the instrument. When you think of tuning low, or you think of the low registers that bass is in, you think strings. You think the strings should be thicker and so they can compensate for those lower tunings. Another thing that is ideal is actually scale length. The longer your neck is, the longer the length is, the lower octave you can achieve with a better tension. So those lower notes getting essentially a longer scale length makes it so that it's a clearer tone at the bottom of the neck, and also is compensated by the smaller scale length of the higher strings so that it doesn't affect those higher notes that you would play. So it's essentially like playing a normal instrument, but you get the benefits of the frets being fanned. On a fan fret instrument, you'll also notice the bridge is also placed at an angle, and this angle is actually the opposite of the angle that the nut is placed in. So you essentially get not only fanned frets, but where the string nut is going to be fanned, and also the bridge is going to be fanned the opposite direction, meaning you get even more scale length and tension control on these instruments. The technology is actually a lot more innovative than just the frets themselves. One bass player that comes to mind is Nolly from Periphery. He uses fan frets, and it really works because that band tunes very low, and there's a lot of things that the bass has to do that it's not really designed to do traditionally, so the fan frets really help. For standard tuning for any kind of music that you'd be playing, the fan frets ergonomically and tension control, all those things are things that would never hurt. If all basses were made this way, it really wouldn't take very long to get used to it. I would personally love to have an instrument with fan frets on it. I wouldn't do that to every single instrument that I own, so I don't think that that should just be the new style of basses or guitars right now, but I do think that it should be a heavily weight option, meaning you should be able to click 4 strings, 5 strings, electric, acoustic, or fan frets, because that should just be a standard option. I love the idea. I think that companies that are mass producing instruments should be able to take this up so that you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get a fan fret instrument, but I would absolutely love it, and I would love to do a dedicated video for fan frets. How can you afford all this? So this is actually a really funny question. I do look at all this stuff sometimes and I think, man, this kid really looks like he's spoiled. But one of the things that I do is trade in. I trade in a lot of gear. I'm fortunate enough to live next to a shop that has really great gear, that gets a lot of new and used gear. It beats Guitar Center by miles. And I'm able to take all the gear that I have, things that I don't need, and I'm able to trade them towards a lot of the items that I want next. So things that I don't use anymore, I might kind of just, might be accumulating a little bit more dust than I need it to, so then I take it to the shop. Something that I might need, I make a goal. I say, oh, okay, I want, so-and-so rack unit, or I want a pedal, and then I'll see, okay, this pedal costs about this much, so how much can I get out of all the things that I don't need? And then, I kind of rack those up together. I save up a little bit of money from the day job that I told you about, and that together I end up putting towards my favorite hobby. Now, I don't get paid a lot from YouTube, but I do make a little bit of money, so I am able to justify some of the things that I buy towards the YouTube channel. Of course, that is an excuse. I do buy a lot of these things just because I want to, but I don't get anything for free. There are no companies that contact me for any kind of gear that I can review and just give back. Everything is paid for out of pocket. I am 100% honest about what I feel about things. 100% honest about how I use them. I would love to get items or gear from companies so that I could review them, evaluate them, and send them back. I'm not sure exactly who to contact for that, or I'm not sure if I have a big enough following to do that, but I would love to do it, so I'm probably going to be getting on that pretty soon. But yeah, my biggest secret is really trade-ins. Trade-ins are a major part of my currency. And another huge secret, another huge thing that people kind of overlook is used gear. If you look at the stuff behind me, a good percentage of it is used. In fact, let me show you the things that I bought new. the Sans amp that I have right here, this big muff that's not even plugged in right now, my tuner, and these speaker monitors. And that's about it. In the shot right now, what you see, that's about the only thing that's new. Everything else, the compressor, my noise suppressor, the Sans amp up here, the Mesa, everything else that you see back here, it's mostly used. A lot of items that you see that I have is going to be used because I'm a fair believer in used items. I think that if it sounds good, if it is a reasonable item, if it's something that I would have used for a certain amount of time, at least it looks like something that I would have used, then hell, I'll pay whatever somebody's asking for it because it doesn't really make a difference at the end. My bluish P-bass that I use in my videos and my covers. So what he's talking about is this bass right here. It's my Fender P-bass. I did a terrible video for it a long time ago called P-bass modification, where I got this bass and then I kind of, have a lot of stuff done to it. But anyway, I got this bass used. I'm gonna talk more about it when I do my gear tour. But I got it used from a buddy of mine when I first got my tattoo. I left the shop during one of my tattoo breaks, and he was nearby. I went and paid about $300 for this thing, and then I went and finished up my tattoo. But yeah, I always wanted a Fender, and so this was on the market. And I'm a huge P-bass guy. I love the P-bass. I do love the J-bass. I think it's fantastic, but if I were to choose, that's what I wanted. So I went for this. Originally it had a white pickguard, so I got that switched. It's got a Fender American pickguard on it, so it's got it's not exactly for this bass, but we made it fit. It's got EMG X's in there, which I'm probably gonna have to do a video for again because the one that I did wasn't as good as I want it to be. And again, it's just got a standard volume and standard tone, so it's got active pickups and passive controls. 4 strings. I generally use this in Slipknot covers, so I right now it's in standard tuning, but I have it so that I can tune it low, like drop B or drop C. Where do you get the tabs for all the Slipknot songs that you cover? This is a question that I've gotten since the beginning of my YouTube channel. And what I used to do is I used to go on Ultimate Guitar and I would look up some Slipknot tabs and I would then play that way. But I found more and more that those tabs weren't exactly accurate, at least to my ear, so I would use them as more of a guide. I would learn what the best tab was showing me, then I would play it over and over with the song, and then whatever I wouldn't agree with by ear, I would switch here or there. Then I just started listening to the songs and doing things by ear. As I've gotten older and I've started to play more and more, I've shifted over to learning songs completely by ear, so I don't look up tabs anymore. And whether or not I get it right at the end is really how I learn. It's really good for you if you sit down and you develop your ear to the point where you can pick out the bass guitar and you can sit and get the notes and actually play it over and over. It really helps develop your musical talent, essentially. So I really saw this as something that as a benefit to my playing. So all the Slipknot songs that I was listening to thousands of times anyway, I would listen to the bass, at least as much of it as I could hear, and I would try to derive as much of it as possible. So for Psychosocial and for Kill Pop and for all those kind of things, I figured all the songs out by ear, and I found out what they were tuned to by just hitting open notes. If they're either in drop B or they're in drop A most of the time. So I would tune hit the B string, and if that was still not low enough, I would then tune to drop A, and then then I found out what tuning they were in, and then from there I would figure out the notes to play. So long and short of it, I figured them out by ear. Most of the songs, most of the ones that are kind of obscure, like Override, I figured that song out completely by ear. Kill Pop, at the time, there were no tabs, so I figured that song out by ear. Songs like Duality, there's a video of Paul showing how to play that song, so I just picked it out note for how he did it. In fact, the tone that I found for that song was because of the video that he did. So I was very lucky that he actually did that. But other than that, all it is just me sitting down, figuring them out by ear, and then changing things here or there, and then recording them to the best of my sound ability. There's also a few other things that I won't be able to pick out, or because there's 9 members in the band, the bass might be just a little too buried, or they might not have done something with the bass that I think that they should have. So I might change something. I might pick out a few things and take a little artistic liberty to cover. So not everything that I do in the Slipknot song is note for note how Slipknot does it, even to the way that I play it. Like Kill Pop, for example. I play that song with a pick as well as with fingers. So I recorded that song with a pick, and the song is played with fingers. The song is done with fingers, and even in the video you'll see he does it with fingers. So it is done with the fingers, but I like it better with my equipment with a pick, so that's how I do it, and that's just part of the cover, you know. So that's kind of what I do there. All right, so that's gonna cover it for FAQ number 5. I will try my very, very hardest to be here next week. This week, I'm going to be doing another FAQ, so there's going to be 2 FAQs. Please let there be 2 FAQs by the end of this week, just to make up for the ones that I couldn't do last week. Thank you very, very much for watching. If you guys have any questions, ask down below. I love all my subscribers, even the haters. I love the haters. If you don't like my shit, absolutely tell me how much you don't like it. It helps me out nonetheless. So both sides of it, I absolutely love doing this for you guys. Ask a lot of questions. Check out my SYRUS MANTON channel. It's an informal vlog channel that I do video games on with an Indian accent. So that's something that you guys can entertain yourselves with. And I will catch you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching, and see ya.